Congress, we will continue with the third plenary session on the topic innovations as a basis for sustainable development. Once again, I'd like to use this opportunity to congratulate all honored financiers with a professional day. We wish you good health, success, and prosperity. Today at our plenary session, we are going to discuss roles and influence of innovations on the financial organizations and compare our positions with the global trends. For you to understand the topic of our discussion, I'd like to show you a small video and then we'll proceed to the discussion. I'd like to give you some quotations. A few days ago, a British Collins Dictionary named artificial intelligence the word of 2023, and it is the leader among other pretenders. So the topic of artificial intelligence will prevail in our discussion. Our financial sector is characterized as the most innovative one. There is no doubt in that. But it is necessary to stay updated and understand what structural changes in the financial markets and transformation experience exist in the whole world. I'd like to show you the last review of McKinsey called The Great Banking Transition. Analyticians have come to the conclusion that the banking business and financial institutions as a whole have started the process of global system changes. And to survive in these conditions, they need to evaluate their activities through the prism of the 5 main priorities, which you see on the slide, including introduction of new technologies, including AI, transition to the model with the growth of financial assets outside of the banks, new format of services provision, necessity to scale up the business to the large ecosystem, and adaptation to the large system risk, including high level of inflation, geopolitics, cyber risks, and fraud. New technologies rank as number 1 among the 15 technological trends relevant as of today. More than half of them touch upon the global financial sector to different extent. They include the applied generative AI, development of software of the next generation, Web3, quantum technology, and digital identification. In 2022, according to McKinsey, investments in the technologies mentioned made up more than $1 trillion. So the level of introduction and implementation is different, but we cannot avoid mentioning them. We made a poll among our financial institutions, including banks, securities market, and insurance organizations. And based on the results of this poll, we have identified similar level of introduction of AI among the companies with interaction with the customers. In compliance and processing of transactions, 22% of organizations confirmed the implementation of AI, 37% plan to do so, and 40% are not implementing AI in the everyday transactions. At the same time, the key factor of success is presence of professionals in this sphere. Same analysis of McKinsey has shown that in the global, at the global level, less than a half of the market demand is covered by the professionals. We have analyzed the situation in Kazakhstan, and the most popular service in Kazakhstan has shown us that at the executive level, the vacancies of designers and programmers is bigger than the financiers and financial managers in total. So the situation is the same as at the global level. And our poll has shown that 76 financial organizations confirm deficit of the HR in AI and new technologies, and emphasize reduction of the staff members due to AI implementation. On the 1st and 2nd of November in Great Britain, there was a global summit on artificial intelligence, the first in the world at this level, represented by 28 countries, and declaration was adopted with respect to AI technologies. AI is representing global opportunities to improve the welfare of human beings all over the world, but there is also a potential of the catastrophic and serious damage which comes from different opportunities. And in the global practice on the 30th of October, the President of the US, Mr. Biden, has signed an act on safe development of artificial intelligence with the need to comply with 8 main priorities, including safety of AI, disclosure of potential of the technology for people, learning, maintenance of competition, freedom of discrimination, free of discrimination, international cooperation, and others. The results of our financials are more optimistic. We have 61.5% respondents saying that they see no risk in using AI, but it is obvious that in connection with serious changes in the financial market, there will be a need for adaptation, regulation, and supervision, and regulators globally need to assess new risks and opportunities, and on one hand, not to prevent from development of AI and ensure financial stability of different sectors and countries as a whole. Our respected participants of the plenary session are experienced and professional in their areas, and I am sure we would be able to find the safe way to move forward. The first question I'd like to address to Deputy Chairman of the National Bank of the Republic of Kazakhstan, Берик Шолпанкулов. The British declaration mentioned by me, do you think it is relevant for Kazakhstan, for our financial sector? If Kazakhstan as a country could join this declaration of Bletchley or any similar treaties, and is there any need for Kazakhstan to create any special working groups to implement the artificial intelligence? Thank you for your question. First of all, I'd like to congratulate everyone to the Financials Day using this platform. Of course, the main global question, the challenge is here, the artificial intelligence, is it good or bad? Is it good or evil? We expect that it will improve the system of living of human beings in healthcare system and financial services sector, information services sector. The banking component will be improved in terms of provision of services, which will be improved, taking into account the fact that AI is used as a generative model, which is improving all the time. And the main challenge here, as mentioned in the slides, if we can control the AI and if we would have AI which would control AI used by the financial institutions, here we could say that in reality it's high time to create working groups and invest a lot of money in order to conduct research and perform work in this direction. But the main approach is openness of those solutions, their accessibility. They should never remain in one domain. They should not dominate in one domain. They should be accessible to the whole market. We as regulators would set such a requirement in order to have no deterioration in competition at the financial market, because we expect that the artificial intelligence could be the excellence and could cause financial and other damages. In global market, there are a lot of studies made by the USA, China, and Russia, Kazakhstan. We need to start such studies, I believe. As you said, it requires a lot of capital. We need to work in collaboration with the financial market to organize such open groups to study and make projects in different directions interesting for the financial market. And as you noted, if we need to become a part of the treaties, I would agree that it is necessary, because The global task there is to exchange opinion on control and regulation of the artificial intelligence for it to serve for the good and not to cause any damages. In this case, with such an aim, we should become part of those treaties, and within the framework of our own developments, we need to share not only with the market participants who don't have enough money, but also for those who want to use AI, and the competition should be balanced, and that it should be healthy and reasonable, and we need to share it with the whole world in order to be in compliant with the trend. And you were correct saying that there are not enough specialists both in IT and in AI, and it's obvious that in collaboration with the financial institutions and private investors, we need to invest into the educational process to join the existing universities to create separate curricula and topics for the people to learn more and more about this, because in the future, as far as I understand, this will be an important issue with the vacation of the working places, which should be transformed into work in IT and AI area. On AI, there are many materials published, there are many studies, there are many achievements. That is why many people see it as a strategic task and dwell into this more and more. Without the support of state or regulators, as it was noted, it would be hard to continue, because we need to support the innovations and initiatives to promote and use AI in Kazakhstan and beyond Kazakhstan, with the support of the state and with a correct regulatory policy. Thank you very much, Berik. I think the position of our regulators will determine many things, but we are used to look at the international practice, and this practice is well established. I would like to ask the question to our panelist, Mrs. Vera Platonova, Senior Vice President of Visa. Your colleagues previously at the conferences, they said that Visa used the AI in advance before it became the mainstream, including VisaNet. And recently, Visa assigned about 100 million USD for a venture fund to invest into startups connected with AI, among other things. What kind of investments are you expecting? How do you assess your interaction, your cooperation with the Kazakhstani market, and do you see any distinguishing features or specific features in using AI in Kazakhstan? Thank you very much for your question. First of all, I would like to congratulate all the participants to the Financiers Day and to the launch of the first innovative CBC currency and payment systems link. This is a very important step, not only for Kazakhstan, but for the whole financial market globally. When we talk about artificial intelligence, I should say that Visa was one of the leaders and pioneers who started developing artificial intellect for their own purposes, for our main core, for our processing VisaNet back in 1993, and many products which are used by the banks nowadays, they are built on the models of artificial intelligence, on different models, absolutely different models. I would give you examples of the platforms on security and determination of fraud. Visa invested globally into development of such models of artificial intelligence, more than $10 billion in the recent years, and we have managed to preserve and keep away from different types of fraudulent transactions, several billion US dollars. There are many different options we are using nowadays. In the artificial intelligence, you were correct saying that 100 million US dollars were invested by Visa into the future, but I would say that revolution of the AI is happening right now, and it started a few years ago before we, as many people in the market, recognize that as ordinary consumers. If we look at the Economist magazine, they try to predict what will happen the next year, every year, except for the geopolitical events. They pay a lot of attention to the changes in the world connected with the AI. Therefore, I believe for all of us it is quite critical for everyone working in the financial world not only to recognize that at the IT departments or at the management level of banks or financial technologies, but everyone, including back office management and division management and managers, to understand what it is, how we use it in servicing our customers. Visa is working a lot on integration of internal models similar to ChatGPT for everyday work, starting from simplification of answers to some basic inquiries, call centers, and up to serious analysis of big data massives, which, as you understand, we have, and they help us to reach better solutions for our customers. Our next step in working with AI would be assistance to you as our partners in integration of such models in your core system. When we talk about Kazakhstan, for me it is very important to know that Kazakhstan is one of the true global leaders in the financial sector in innovations, and it is connected with the two main reasons. Firstly, the people of Kazakhstan want to have innovations and they perceive them easily, and it has the potential of correct coverage by internet and mobile communication. And secondly, the banks will and they have resources and they have support from the state. That is why in this competition, you and we have managed to launch such projects as we have, to be the first in the world to start a request to pay project. This is a unique technology together with the RBK Bank, the first in the world through the rails of transfers. We managed to perform trade sales based on VisaNet. This is not the only thing done by Kazakhstan globally, and the next step would be implemented with you together for the individual customer experience and to improve the work of internal systems. I think that we should not be afraid of the artificial intelligence, which is the common question. Whether we are afraid of it or not, it is here. We need to learn how to work with it and to ask the state to help us in working with it, to make it work for the benefit of the people. Okay, thank you very much for your answer. Now let us use our experience. I would like to ask a question to the chairman of the bank. I would say the group with 100-year history this year, Halyk Bank, with Ms. Shoykhmetova being the governor of the bank, celebrated its 100th anniversary. Many analysts say that banks have come across very strict limitations and financial products can be provided beyond the banking sector without such strict regulation. The financial institutions can provide these services, including loans and lending, without opening of the financial organizations. At the same time, the innovations are easier for the companies which are mobile and starting. And large financial institutions have more limitations and restrictions in that. Nevertheless, you offer new digital products. You have relevant new technologies, and probably you develop them on your own in the bank. I'd like to ask you how you have arranged your work with innovations, if it is done in-house. If it is true, do you face any difficulties and barriers in this? And in general, are you going to make any large investments in development of the Kazakhstani software?
Thank you for your question. I'd like to express my congratulations with our professional holiday. I think this is very important for Kazakhstan to have our own currency. This is a sign of our independence. Our Tenge might be weak, might be strong, might be volatile, but the main thing is that we have it, and this is a sign of our independence. If we're talking about challenges that bank sector is facing, you are completely right. As of today, we have a lot of challenges, and in the first part, we heard about financial challenges, how to preserve the sustainability, and what to do with inflation, monetary regulation, and I heard such message like prudential regulating is required, and for us as a bank, it's a huge challenge to make in current situation to perform highly compatible growth and from various platforms, from various ecosystems, and at that same time to preserve financial stability, to follow sanctions, credit real sector of the economy, to be all good, correct, transparent as a big group. We have legacy, it's correct. We have 100 years of history, but this is at the same time makes it even difficult because banking systems have been developed a long time ago, and we here have to adjust, adapt to be compatible, find people, which is now a huge challenge, fighting for human capital. We have financial capital, money, and etc. What Halyk is doing is we in fact involve external consultants, and we work with vendors who are present here, Visa, MasterCard, and they work with National Bank. We observe external technologies and competitors' media as well. We buy some technologies and tools and from outside. Maybe you have seen we made a transaction. We bought a share in an application of the company that provides services for travel. And as a bank, we now observe correct use of the capital. And you saw that the bank has sold 3 subsidiary banks in Kyrgyzstan, in Russia. And we do our best to allocate capital in a better way, to use it in a more efficient way, to be proper shareholder. And in that direction, we are very open. We work with small Kazakhstani startups. We do the internal work, external work. We use new technologies for bank as a structure. From the point of view of digitalization, we update our operational processes in this regard. And as everyone has mentioned already, I'd like to say again that Kazakhstan is on the frontier. We are really a digital country. We have a lot of access to various bases. We have digital service for state services. All regulations, they are custom friendly. And all this allows us as Kazakhstan to be almost in front of entire planet. And as far as I understand, the digital Tenge, we were the first country who launched it. As a bank, it is difficult to do the regulations as a bank. And here we have the competitive difficulties. We're not on the same stage with regulation regarding to the financial technologies in terms of development of these technologies. And without making financial risks and financial stability risks, we are allowing for quick development and adaptation, because banks, they provide for rights of customers and all the financial pyramids and financial technical structures. They are not so much concerned about protection of rights of the customer. Here we have the balance of regulation, and if we're talking about digitalization, Halyk Group is making great changes. We invest a lot in there. We monitor our internal structures, and ratio of IT people is growing, and we fight for good employees. And we saw the benchmark for banks. IT specialists ratio is 10.5, and our ratio is a little bit higher. It's more than 10% in the bank. From the point of view of IT, we're not considering IT hard or soft. We consider technical risks, data science. We have constructed a big data center, a factory of data. We do an analysis of our internal data, and the issue about cybersecurity and protection of data are the challenges that we are facing and we have to work with. And it was quite fair to mention that we have to still be transparent in our work. We have Kazteleport company. They provide telecom services, and they're not providing only services, but we manage cloud technologies, artificial intelligence, and we provide these services beyond the country to our clients beyond the country, and we promote digitalization and digital services, what involves investments and development of human capital. During our first session, we discussed macroeconomical situation and regulation, and we are now more discussing consolidated supervision. How do you think? I understand that it depends on how it is implemented. Will it make difficulties for such type of investing and partnership with startup companies or those who develop software? How do you think? It does make this even now, in order to get permission to do investment or buy something non-financial or near financial service, or it's quite difficult to get such a permission. It will bring us to that the bank sector is over-regulated, and it's not so good for investment. And there is not non-friendly speaking about this, and it's against banks. Banks are this and that. We need to regulate them more, and hoping that foreign banks would come here. This is naive to believe that they would come, and we will see reduction of foreign banks they will get away from such a business, from such a sector over-regulated, which is very difficult to work in. But banks, they promote the financial stability, safety of bank deposits, and we have to ensure safety of customers, and here the balance is critically important, because we would be building such structures that wouldn't be that transparent. They will not be that affiliated, but we will be aware that there is a business partnership which is legally not confirmed and not connected, and it will make us to make these structures that don't undergo under consolidated supervision, regulation, and so on. This I don't want. We have experienced this when we build up our financial system. The more override corporate regulations we have, the better. And it exists in financial sector. Transparency, reporting, etc. We shouldn't go away from these things in order to get some hype, to follow the trends. And we have to stay balanced and well thought about this. Thank you. Mutbathan mentioned a quite important subject related to trust. This is the main thing on the financial market. And opposite to trust, we see the amount of fraud happening on the market. Cyber fraud and financial sector is on the frontier. And I'd like to look at the international practice amongst our analysts. We see Rafal Trepko, and as one of the vendors who are actively participate in work of our financial sector, I'd like to address their experience. In 2016, MasterCard has launched complex service decision intelligence in order to decision making and find out where fraud is, and allows institutions to reduce the amount of denials. And this year, AI is going to be used to fight fraud in real time before all the financial operations have been even started. These are those exactly cases when clients by themselves being decepted are sending money. Thank you. Thank you. Let's applaud to our professional holiday. There is such a joke. When I look at the symbol of Tenge, it reminds me my surname. It was like it's my country. I have to go there. Fraud protection is very important for MasterCard, and that's the main business for international payment system, because we can discuss clearing, authorization, any items, but the main subject for us will be protection and cybersecurity. Additionally, in such systems, it's very important to understand what the scale is. And within 1 year, we provide over 120 billion transactions, about $35 billion. And this is very important that all systems learned how to fight fraud. Before that, before we started decision intelligence, we investigate various chains, and when transaction is happening, you need to see what organization is this. In MasterCard, it's called RiskReco. It allows independent partners to understand and to look what are the deficiencies of these organizations in order to protect. Then we go to the customer account intelligence. There is such a solution which protects before that, in order for thieves not to be able to have access to accounts or mobile apps. This is very related, and this is related to social engineering and social fraud. Then we go to base service in MasterCard Service Net. It allows in authorization and it helps banks to protect from fraud their clients. And the second part allows uh, approve transactions that have been with error. This is very important to register these transactions and allows to take a right decision. It's of course, we can go further. AI allows to analyze various information because thieves can have access to mobile app, and there is such a solution that allows to estimate whether this was done, whether the user of the mobile devices B is using it now or it has been hacked. This is very important. Decision intelligence works between all these systems. As you can see by the title, it allows to take decisions. On the market of Kazakhstan, there are several banks that are using these solutions, but until now, they are using base modifications, and there is always possibility to develop it more and more. From the point of view of the bank, organizations, clients, it's very important to see from the trade and service items. They allow to determine and take the decision from the merchant or acquire side. MasterCard helps. What helps MasterCard? That MasterCard has got from various companies Ekata, Brighteria, Data, and the last company, Bayfin, they are connected with cyber safety, cyber security. This is also very, very important. Saying about MasterCard more, we can go further, and there is a direction in which MasterCard is working. It's not only card transactions, these are instant payments, blockchain, regular transactions, and one of the part of blockchain is digital currency, and one of significant players on the market, Cipher Trades. This is company of MasterCard, and they allow to provide blockchain side of the transaction. And all this is related to decision intelligence, and partly it's being applied in Kazakhstan, and we shall go further in this. And part of the question I'd like to reply regarding Kazakhstan, if we take a look at worldwide trends, overall the pattern of error transactions or fraud transactions, they are similar in digital economies. What's very important that they migrate into one into another very quickly. And what happened in Kazakhstan right now, we can see in another country. For example, someone accepted the card in Kazakhstan and then made a transaction in the USA, and we can see that. And the advantage of the global system allows us to take various decisions and help banks how to make safety safety stronger. Unfortunately, such advantages of Kazakhstan, like social engineering, social fraud, are high pressure of social population. This is very important. We're not having the case with AI. We have to consider real people as well, and they can call, send SMS. So people should not share their information about their accounts, and MasterCard is implementing additional solutions that allow to protect from social fraud. Could you please advise how do you think the AI, it does not distinguish whether the intentions are good or bad, and thieves that are are very widespread now. They might use AI for their benefit as well. Are there such models that could allow to protect from, in this case? Yes, it's a very important question. We can argue more and more who is developing AI more, thieves or banks. If you have a call from people, and these people are mostly boats, which and it's very important that the AI that we use shall be better than the AI that they are using. And this is important to understand. We can use generative AI for marketing, and we still have to we still use generative AIs that in our system we generate a fraud transaction so that the system could educate itself so that it could distinguish easily whether this is a fraud transaction or a real transaction. And this is very important to be ahead.
Among our respected panelists, there is the Freedom Hot Limited Executive Director. It is the group which is developing quickly in different types of industries. First of all, in the financial industry, Timur Ruslanov is an investor, among other things. And keeping in mind the topic of our today's panel session, I'd like to ask you the following question. In your team, in your group, you have not only the bank, but also insurance business, especially securities market, investment consultants. What do you think? Is there any antagonism, contradiction between development of new technologies, in particular the AI, and not only that, and the need for today's qualification of specialists working in the insurance industry and at the security market? And will it happen that in the future our institutional investors and even retail investors would not need services of investment consultants? They would work with the platform, with the algorithm only, which would develop an individual program, make a risk card, risk map, and restrictions on risk, and perform all the transactions and calculations. How do you think? Is that possible, and what should we do in this situation? You know, we are trying for quite a long time to increase the labor performance in our business, in the brokerage, and if you do not automate this business from the first day, it would be difficult to earn money. The margin is not that high, and low efficiency in the work is a real problem. As a matter of fact, competition is pressing everyone. We are forced to work on improving the performance in labor, and we employ more and more employees in order to be able to make free more employees. And we work on the operational efficiency, and we have growing HR team. The more automated business you have, the more employees you have. And then you have more automated business again. Our regulators are taking care of us. If they feel that we have a chance to do something else in terms of additional control and additional processes and procedures, this is a global trend. At the global level, regulators impose non-specific functions on the financial system, like financial control, financial policemen, financial agents who should control combating and compliance with international sanctions against money laundering, and so on and so forth. We have more and more new functions we have to perform. And the banks 20, 30 years ago would not even think about that. They could not perform those functions because it was impossible. But now we are able to do so, and we need more and more people for that. This is funny indeed. The more automation we have, the more people we have as our HR team. I do not worry about the people in terms of the current industrial revolution. We are going to have even higher rate of employment than before if everything is developing like in the financial sector with more diversity, intensity, we assess risks faster and with more accuracy. We do not make too many inquiries to the clients. We save our time, time of our employees. We eliminate the routine and strange operations. People start to have different nature of work, more creative work, but the complexity of business is growing. It is multiplied at every step, and the complexity of our work, the necessity for coordination of process inside, automation, and combination of different systems you come across inside with your partners, with your regulators. Everything should work properly with your auditors, with your, I don't know, multiple international structures which are controlling you all the time, creation of the control environments which were never required before. All these things demand from us even more vacancies of developers, more other things. We need to run faster because we want to close all these tasks ahead of time, and the only thing any representative of the financial market is dreaming of is to have 2 times more IT specialists who really understand what they are doing and whose work could be used in an efficient manner, because you don't need simply employ more employees. They need to work in collaboration with other team members. And finally, it looks like the work performed by our specialists, almost all bank workers become IT specialists to some extent. The IT expert 20 years ago, they are not existing anymore. The people are more dwelt in the processes, and everywhere IT specialists will be needed in every sphere, actuarium, those who regulate and settle the insurance cases, big data analysis. This is a story which requires additional work from the analysts. They will have deep specialization. This is not a profession, this is a general area, industry which requires competencies of people. And it seems that if we talk about investments in particular, I think this is one of the most interesting stories in the world, because there is nothing more interesting and difficult than investments. This is an essence of the human activity to understand what business deserves investments right now. And I would dare to expect that there is a development in the rethink models which show better results than people do, but improving the models for retail clients. For this, we would need even more people than just advising the users, and the quality of these recommendations would be much, much higher. This is the advantage. The advantage is not that we'll need less people, we need more people, and they will have rate of performance, and finally this will be the benefit for everyone. Do you remember our poll I mentioned at the beginning of our session, assessment of our participants? They all were quite optimistic, but some of them said that this will increase the performance and would allow to reduce the number of personnel. I think this is not true. The new competencies would be required. The question is how to acquire these competencies and from where they would come. We can talk about the higher institutions, higher education institutions, but we need to talk about the people and companies who are ready for cooperation and partnership. And here I'd like to ask a question to our next respected participant of the panel session, Rinat Bekturov, governor of AIFC. We could talk a lot about it, but I would like to emphasize that a partnership of AIFC with the IT technological companies makes us admire. With the regulatory opportunities, you can involve new partners. And I would like to give you an example right now or recently. Astana Hub sent 12 Kazakhstani startups for acceleration to the Silicon Valley. And we have heard other entrepreneurs who have passed Astana Hub. How do you think existence and function of AIFC and its cooperation with the startups, local and foreign, can it become a source of the highly qualified personnel which is needed by the economy at the moment and all financial institutions? And how do you think what you or we all together should do for this purpose? Thank you very much. Dear colleagues, congratulations to all of us, to all Kazakhstanis, to the 30th anniversary of the national currency. And it was noted that it is an important symbol of our sovereignty, and with this step that it has entered the digital world, this will change our financial industry significantly. As for your question, I think for the innovations, there are three main factors. So the first one is pool of talents or HR who generate ideas. Secondly, it's important to have a regulatory normative environment which would allow to transfer idea into the solution or product. And the third is capital equity, which would allow to scale up this product or service. As for the first pool of talent, indeed, AIFC through its Bureau of Continued Development, we arrange the courses for the advanced training of IT specialists, but we stopped doing so because there are a lot of providers of training services. The participants of the market do so. It's quite difficult to retain the IT specialists. They become very expensive, and this is a signal for young people to understand that they need to acquire competencies in IT. And of course, when there is such an ecosystem, this is really attractive for the other talents in the industry from other countries. What is the focus of AIFC? These are two other factors: creation of the regulatory environment and traction of the equity, especially about the financial innovations in financial technologies. In the first case, we have a number of examples when financial services have been started as crowdfunding, starting from the sandbox. Four of them existed, two of them have acquired license. Maybe this is a small scope of attraction of investments, but for small and micro entrepreneurs, these are huge resources which support their businesses and help them grow and help to support the employment rate. These are digital and cryptocurrency. We have registered a number of crypto stock exchanges. We cooperate on crypto stock exchanges with other stakeholders and have good results. And we will proceed to the phase of the full-fledged functioning to be a full-fledged partner at the market. As for capital, we are creating the environment to attract the equity from internal, external sources. What could be the examples? The first startups, when they are structured, there is an opportunity to create different classes of shares and stocks, A, B, C, and so on, because quite frequently for founders of companies, it is important to preserve some control, but they are ready to share the economic benefits, and this all is possible in the regulatory environment of AIFC. As for the funds for the managers of assets, there is a beneficial environment for venture capital, for foreign equity, cross ventures, and so on. They come and they create their funds at AIFC, and we see our role in this. We are not making the value add. We don't want to compete directly with anybody. We need to have an environment for the efficient interaction to generate ideas, to attract money for entrepreneurs, and so on. Sometimes, of course, we have to do some work on business, operational, to be the icebreakers. We were the pioneers in the cloud to start our system. You have heard about our application tables. And now it is a standard that retail is done through the application, investing, but we never see ourselves as competitors in the market. We are more enablers. Thank you. We are talking more and more about partnership nowadays, that every participant could do something for the development. Before giving the floor or asking a question to Madin Rasul, I would like to ask another question to Berek. Berek, you are a representative of the National Bank Deputy Chairman, and many things depend on you. I mean, the National Bank, the financial regulator, is the agency, but the National Bank determines many things and influencing many things. We don't have another regulator here, the Ministry of Trade Development, which is the one by definition. And I'd like to ask a question about coordination. I didn't want to talk about this topic, but I'm forced to do so. We have a lot of initiatives. In particular, our deputy's corpus is very active in this, and we have a number of draft laws, including the one on the digital assets, protection of personal data, which is very important. How do you think about my first question to you about AI? Do you think there should be somebody more important or the chief here, or it will be equal partnership? It is a very good question. In general, in terms of coordination, interaction among regulators or owners of databases, the priority is development of AI, because the AI, the more the structure of data is used for that, the more chains it is generating and the more developed it is, which promotes additional effects on simplification or proposal of more perfect, innovative ideas. Here, I would like to emphasize that it would be difficult to determine who is the boss. Big data within the framework of which the data will be impersonalized. It is planned to make analysis to make the chains for the market with impersonalized data. This is a good initiative, but in general, in order to avoid one-sided initiative on acquisition of data, there are data of the National Bank which have status of the banking secrecy, which we should comply with and impersonalize them to avoid informational flooding of the market. This would be the collaboration among participants, because everyone has its own competency on protection of personal data. Protection of data, it is the full responsibility of the state authority or regulator who is responsible for collection and storage of such data. And keeping this in mind, everyone is afraid to provide simple access and try to build the security for data. Here at the legislative level, the process should be arranged to provide access to personal data to the databases for the market to understand the general requirements and comply with those requirements to have access. Or we would have to build providers, and through those providers, the data would be provided to the financial market participants, and not only to them, but to all who would need those data. But the providers would guarantee security of the data and accuracy of the data. At the initial stage of this collaboration, this will require legislative regulation for the market participants to know what should be done to get access to the data. Okay, it's clear. I think for the participants of our markets, it is important to have collaboration, because today morning we have heard about financial and fiscal policy development. These are the good initiatives, and everybody's looking at regulator Madina Rasolovna Abukasimova, chairman of the Agency for Regulation and Development of the Financial Market. You have heard our participants, you have heard their messages. I'd like Unfortunately, we don't see it on the slide now, but I think all participants remember what I have mentioned in the beginning. Remember the last report published in October this year by McKinsey, the Great Banking Transition. In particular, they provide data in it that the market capitalization of banks, the classical banks, the balance sheet value is 0.8, and big tech is 12 times higher. And one of the factors for this situation is noted as the fact that the banking regulation is is the most strict one, and it is being improved, and the technological changes here may be suitable due to this. And Marina, we need to discuss the international experience. In the beginning, we mentioned 5 challenges and priorities which all financial institutions would face. Can they actually undergo these global changes? Is it compatible with their life, and is it as relevant for the Kazakhstani market as for the others? And if these financial limits would be beyond the bank's limits, and if it is the future, and how do you see yourself as the agency in those technological changes? And in general, do we need to expect AI in the regulation of the financial market? Dear colleagues, first of all, I would like to congratulate you all to the Professional Day, to the Financiers Day, and jubilee of the national currency.
And we are the leader in innovations. And as a corporate governor, we comply with the best international standards. And I'm sure that every person working in financial system, I wish you to have new achievements because your success is the success of our country. In order to reply your questions, Elena Leonidovna, we need to consider that transformation of business model of banking sector and the issues related to application of AI and corresponding regulating of this. Those trends that you named, they are quite very actual for Kazakhstan, and we observe them in Kazakhstan, and we see banks developing with their own ecosystem. They perform transactions beyond the balance of the bank, and we see transactions that occur on the balance of the bank. And as you know, financial sector is a bank-centric model, and majority of banks own not only bank but insurance companies, companies that do management of assets, etc. If we're talking about regulating of the changes that you named, like red banking transformation applied to regulating itself, here it's very important to determine our own position and to be in compliance with the international standards. We comply to standard number 3, and in insurance we comply with principles of IIS. In banking sector, we complete introduction and compliance with 29 principles of basis committee. This is an international quality standard that has to be present in banking sector. It would allow us to have trust from foreign investments, to have trust of local people, and there is such an indicator like micro provided by S&P. We raised it from 9 to 8, and this is quite a low estimation for the corporate governance. And after we complete this job on compliance with base principles, we would see significant changes in our estimation. This would allow attraction of new investment into banking sector, and in general, it would allow for the financial system to develop further. You mentioned consolidated supervision. This is what we work on for several years already, and we're about to finish this work. And bank conglomerate, they have insurance companies and companies for governance, for management of assets. And it's important for the bank conglomerate were established requirements for capital, liquidity, and risk management. This would allow to solve several issues, especially the risks that you mentioned, that transactions are being implemented beyond the balance of the bank. And I think we will cover this subject as well. If we're talking about increasing of sustainability of banking sector, during recent years, we have performed big work related to cleaning of stress assets of banks, and those deficiencies in regulation that were in 2000 that that led us to exploded growth of risk assets. All these mistakes have been considered, and specific regulation has been implemented, and we are now using a risk-oriented approach. And within the risk of capital liquidity, we assess the quality of business model. All this is aimed at protection of funds of clients, and considering all the lessons learned and bringing it in compliance with the international standards would allow us to make a firm basement that would allow to avoid such crises, that would diminish the financial sector risks, and would allow us to increase the trust to financial sector. If we speak specifically about positive things, introduction of AI, innovations, it's we understand that from both regulators and National Bank is making a lot in this direction, and our agency, we make a lot in order to stimulate innovations in financial sector. It was said that it's difficult. It was difficult to buy a financial and technical company. We implemented changes, and we allow banks to purchase financial and technical companies and use for that 10% of bank assets. Prior, it was available only to be done beyond the bank, and now this possibility is widely used. And the second thing that is being done in cooperation with other governmental bodies, provision of access to state database. This is being done through state database services, and by the end of the year, I think this work will be completed. This is very important to work with these databases. This is very important to have access to such information in order to introduce innovations in financial market. Regulatory sandboard has been launched, and via that platform we can implement innovations and test them as well. And in terms of financial technical solutions, it's very important to consider that innovations in financial sector and AI, they all require a lot of money from financial organizations, a lot of funding, and large companies that are capable to allow spending on that, and small companies have to strive to catch up with those companies that went forward. And together with the agency and the National Bank, we launched recently the pilot for Unite platform Open IP, where it will all the agreements from financial clients are being accumulated. If we're talking about AI, artificial intelligence, now every day now we face it. In front office, these are chatbots. During transactions, this is biometrics, scoring models, and now fraud determination is very much used now. During using all these solutions, that these solutions would have been developed by financial institutions themselves, and they have to be on the frontier of that, and financial organizations have to cope with that by themselves. And as a financial regulator, we can remove gaps in regulations, but we have to as well remember that AI implementation brings risks, and we need to determine the list of risks and other risks for financial stability. We don't see them, but the further we go, the more risks we will face. And now we have a program for assessing of financial sector together with the World Bank, and we state there that if these transactions, if you have more of them, the risks are growing as well, and we need to determine, identify these risks, and do the prevention. And prevention has to be adequate to real risks. It shouldn't be excessive. All the regulation has to be in that scale which is required. And I have two examples. Recently, we had this, and financial participants faced them. First is financial fraud. We saw that despite two-factor identification, biometrics, the financial fraud has exploded, and the loss is for billion of Tenge to citizens of Kazakhstan. And as a result, what we had to do in October, we significantly increased our requirements to cybersecurity of information systems and applications. And if they are breached, and if there is a loss incurred by the client, if bank did not comply with this standard, then bank has to refund, has to return the money that were lost by the client, because this fraud has happened because it was compliance was not present with this safety. And on the second, on CASE application was launched the SILA application. This is related to fraud with securities, and I expect to see huge changes. And if we're talking about regulation, it is said that more regulation, more staff, and we have the same thing here. We have specific division which deals with artificial intelligence, with fraud identification, and we have launched a system for supervision of securities and protection of customers' right. If we sum it up briefly, financial organizations, they are the leaders of these innovations and implementations of new technologies. And financial organization, even in compliance with Basel and compliance with risks assessment, they have to assess risks adequately and manage these risks. We have to get involved only if we see significant risks for financial stability for citizens. And in this case, we have to work together with financial market participants. Thank you for your attention. Thank you, Madina Asilovna. It was very good to hear what you've said. I think financial organization won't have to make new divisions in order to provide new information and reporting to provide this information to either agency or national bank. It's very important. Partnership is very important. We have another regulator who is dealing with regulation of financial market. This is Agency on Competition Protection, and I think that our regulator, who is responsible not only for regulation but for the development as well, he is the first in the row. But any regulation has its price, of course. It's clear that if innovations are require significant investment and that companies do invest and whether they get some benefits out of it or maybe they won't get it, and it does require resources. That is why every time when we introduce new requirements, we need to assess the resources. And behind the wall, we have another panel session for consumer rights protection. We discussed a lot today about the fraud. And this is difficult to underestimate this risk, which is present everywhere. We are at the same time, despite we work in financial organizations or a regulator, we are still customers as well. But just to blame a provider who is providing some specific service, this is easier, but this might not be the right decision. Maybe we should look for a more logical way for such limitations, such risk management. And I'd like to hear from our regulators, and FCA somehow is related to that as well, that this dialogue and consideration of interest of market participants who are going to introduce these innovations, it will take place all the time. And we are out of time. The only thing I'd like to add, we specifically discussed today such a topic, despite we were celebrating 30 years of Tenge. We look ahead, and I'd like to finish my speech that Lewis Carroll said 152 years ago by his Alisa. You have to run fast in order to stay on the place. But if you want to get somewhere, you have to run 2 times faster. Thank you.